If a zombie apocalypse happened, where would be the first place you would go?
My bathroom.
Probably somewhere in the basement.
Dick's Sporting Goods.
What is happening? Man, I was very excited to do this podcast. That answer just went so many different directions. No, let's not get into that. Well, let's get into it.
Go ahead. Go into your elaborate description of why Dick's
Right.
Sporting Goods is the best place. Is this because of Zombieland?
Yeah, and also like my friends and I, we would always go to this like. There's this place where everyone used to hang out, and there was a Dick's Sporting Goods. The Dick's Sporting Goods was there, and so we would go. We would go in there, just like walk around and stuff like that. And they had everything. They had guns. They had food. They had
They
baseball
have guns
bats.
at Dick's Sporting Goods?
Yep, they have guns there. Hunting.
Like hunting.
Hunting. Yeah. They had like kayaks and all that stuff. They have everything.
What are you going to use a kayak for if there's a zombie apocalypse?
Get in the water.
Some
Zombies
way.
don't swim.
It's good kayaking, man.
Zombies don't swim.
I like how everybody has like these characteristics of zombies, but like we have no idea what they are.
Yeah, but
I know. It's like, oh,
based
zombies
off
can't
movies.
swim.
Based off movies. They probably could swim, you know?
Yeah.
Like if they really want that food, they would swim, you know?
Right.
They're not like animals. They're just like brainless humans, right?
Yeah. So
But
Like, they can still, well, okay, I guess like,
they'll do
like
whatever
alive
they
to
can.
an extent?
Yeah.
I can't watch The Walking Dead.
wait, if I was like a zombie and I was like about to, this doesn't count for me because you guys are both going to kill me.
What?
Well, I was going to say like, if you know it's me, like, would you try to like,
Kill
you know, like preserve me, like trap me somewhere and then like be
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Frost, snap out of it. Or
Yes,
like,
no.
would you just kill me?
We would mess with
Frost.
you. Frost. We would have you in chains. We'd like slap you and be like, yo, this
Do you
is for
know
all the
how
times.
much payback I'll have pent
Yeah, but I'm
out
in
to
zombie
want to?
mode. That's not me though.
Honestly, I wouldn't care.
Yeah, we wouldn't
Skirt,
care.
Bye, off with Frost. Don't want to see you. I'm just kidding.
No, because we still love you, you know, but we want to mess with you after. So
Oh. Yeah, so we'll just
Well,
keep your...
it wouldn't even get to that point because if I'm a zombie, I'm going to shred you to pieces. Like, it's not going to work.
That's not true.
no,
Yeah, it is.
I'd
I'll
have
be-
that's a one time in life I'll have the upper hand to you.
I'd be
Please
a
don't
rock
take that
hard
from
zombie.
me.
rock hard zombie.
That would be so cool. I'd have machine guns and like for some reason in these movies and stuff, they make it a rule that like zombies aren't allowed to have like the weapons and the guns. Like they just like are stupid and they just like walk through.
No, they have-
You said it yourself. They're brainless.
I'd be driving.
They're-
I'd be having guns. I would be like, I would turn everybody into
There's
a zombie.
some like movies where like the zombie's so dumb they just like pick up a random gun, they just like shoot everywhere, and then like sometimes it would hit like the person's leg or something.
That's stupid. I don't care.
Okay, I don't think that you would
What was
have
your,
like
what
the
was your
function.
answer?
The bathroom.
I said the bathroom. I don't know why. I just feel safe in there. I don't know why.
What are you gonna do for food? You're gonna eat your own.
Ew. No. I have plenty of water to survive in there. But
amber
can I just say
centipede.
my apartment? I
Amber
just chill in my
centipede.
apartment. We have a vending machine
Bear Amber.
downstairs. I
Amber
can
Grills.
Postmates thing. I live in the city.
Postmates while zombie apocalypse.
You're pretty
happening.
much already a zombie.
Yeah, like
It's already a zombie zone in here.
yeah, like all I have to do is just have food delivered here. I walk downstairs to go pick it up. There's 2 securities at the front, so you know I'm good. I'm good. Actually, I don't need to go to my bathroom.
yeah.
I'm gonna stay in my
Yeah, you
apartment.
can stay in your apartment, but
Yeah.
food supply.
Yeah, I just Postmates
Postmates. What if like you know
or
everyone's
Uber
dead?
Eats.
Everyone's dead now.
You know what? It's so cold in my basement. If I was down there, that's what the place I chose.
They
The
would
zombies
freeze.
would come down there. They'd be like, "All right, now we're not gonna mess with them."
What was
it's
your
too cold down here."
response?
Basement.
Oh god,
Dude, his basement's so cold.
it's so
and,
cold.
and so like he had a heater recently, right? He had a heater
Thank
down there,
God.
and
Yeah, my dad
he-
got it for me.
And Frost is like, yo, it's not that cold. Like, what are you doing? Like, everyone was making fun of me and stuff like that. Then we had a mutual friend come down, and he's like, dude, how do you sleep down here? It's like Antarctica down here.
Even when I went there, I literally the first thing I did was like, can I have a blanket? Like,
Yeah, that's what makes
it's
it cozy.
so cold. Like
So cold.
It keeps it cozy, and it keeps you like when you're sleeping. If you're hot, like I cannot sleep when it's hot. When it's cold,
I'd
it's
rather
like
be hot when I
it's like
sleep.
I like to
Yeah.
curl up and bundle up and have a bunch of pillows around me. Even in the summer, I need it to be like really cold because I don't like to sleep with like nothing there. You know, I like the pillows, I like the blankets.
I love all that, but I don't mind overheating a litter.
A litter.
A litter.
A little.
Anyways, y'all, welcome to another episode of Strange Flavors. It's great to have you here. This is brought to you by Alif Theory. My name is Faras.
My name is Shimmer.
My name is Amber.
Yes, and if you're watching on YouTube, what's up?
What's up?
Thank you for letting us reach our huge milestone of 100 subscribers. Like,
Whoop.
this is insane.
gang.
100 people.
Appreciate it.
No, we actually do appreciate it though.
No, really.
It's
It's
mildly
awesome.
sarcastic, but it's cool.
We had a whole
even
celebration
though-
for it in our group chat.
We did. Like,
Yeah,
it
we-
felt.
We
I was
sent the
thinking it-
confetti.
Yeah,
like,
I was thinking it felt better than having like 10K subscribers on Ronopono. Like,
It's like this is like
no, like
cool.
the feeling of it, because it was just like we didn't get anything for having 10K subscribers. Like this
But
was like,
we unlocked the was it the URL?
yeah, we unlocked the URL for
For strange
YouTube. For sure.
flavors.
But what was funny is like, okay, the next goal was like to get monetization, but then YouTube announces this thing.
Oh,
They're
my
like, yeah,
God.
we're yeah, you got to have 1,000 subscribers and you got to have like what's 70
40,000
4,000
hours or 4,000 hours. 40,000 or 4,000?
4,000.
4,000. Okay.
hours
but
of viewing
that's-
time or
that's a
something.
lot.
I feel like the most
Yeah.
person that would affect out of all of us right now is Shams.
No, he's good because he's gonna
Watch
get to
time,
1,000
he's
soon.
good, but he's
like
gonna
my
get to
my
1,000
monetization
soon.
is shut down.
Yeah,
and I'm
no.
not because I barely upload.
The only
on
issue
mine, so.
is that the algorithm. So the algorithm supports ads. That's the only thing. Like I'm not gonna make $100 like overnight or anything. Like that's not the issue. The money's not the issue. It's just
Yeah.
my videos will not be seen as much because because the ads won't be on there anymore.
Right.
And YouTube favors ads being pushed in the algorithm.
Oh, so like your video won't show up on like a recommended list or something?
Yeah, and so then it'll
Because
be
of-
harder to get to 1,000 subscribers. That's
Oh.
the only thing.
Mm.
Like
No, I
money-
think,
like most people that have less than 1,000
but you're not getting
subscribers-
watched because of like recommended stuff mostly. It's because like
No, it does.
I think you're getting watched because of your social media mostly.
Well, no, mostly it's like it's all equal. Like
You know what's the
1/3,
weirdest
1/3.
thing? When I went to my parents' house today, there was a letter there waiting for me, and even though I don't have 1,000 subscribers, and I don't know if I have 4,000 minutes of watch time, but I got a mail
Hours.
whatever from Google AdSense, and I had to like set up an account and stuff. I was like, wouldn't you want to send that to me later? Like,
No, will they
I'm
do
not-
that if you have you ever signed up for AdSense?
Yeah, but I did that like so long ago.
Yeah.
So like, why now?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, thank you for 100 subscribers, and thank you for everybody listening on Apple Podcasts and SoundCloud. I saw on I was looking at the SoundCloud analytics. We got like some love from other countries, Pakistan and like
yeah.
like Norway or something, and like
Shout out Norway.
India. That's pretty cool because on Apple Podcasts, I think it's mostly US. Otherwise, yeah. Thank you for all the support. And thank you to everybody who's been following us on social media.
Thank you.
If you don't know, we're on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. You can find those linked in the description. So please give us a follow. We would really
And tweet at us.
appreciate it. Yeah.
Talk to us.
Oh yeah, we interact on Twitter.
Yeah, and give some suggestions.
does.
If you want to
Yeah.
know anything about us or
Yeah,
like
at
any
any
topics
point.
you want to hear.
Have
about.
questions at any point, just send them in.
We're very interactive and friendly, and we don't bite, except for us. He bites a little bit.
He
I bite a
bites
lot. I bite a lot.
Yeah.
And also, like, if you guys want to send us any of your like stories, if you have any questions, any like advice, we're not like therapists, but we can definitely give you our own experiences and insight of anything that you may have, to question us with. You can remain anonymous if you want.
Anonymous.
I said
Anonymous.
Yeah, we're not letting that slide.
Anonymous.
Anonymous.
Yeah, you can remain anon if you'd like, and just give us whatever you'd like us to talk about. So yeah, and also you can send us your music there. If you're a music producer, a rapper, a band, whatever. We've been playing, I think the last 3 episodes were all user submitted songs, both in the transition at the beginning and at the end. And thank you guys for sending those in. They were awesome tracks, and we're happy to promote you guys and link. And we always link them in the description too, so they can find you if they like the song.
Yep.
So this is another strange exchange. I really like doing these because I get to talk to you guys about things that we care about.
Yeah.
Because we don't care about our guests.
This is not true at all. No,
that
it's
was
just
Just me? Just kidding.
it's just a
care
different
about our guests.
interactiveness that we get to have, just us 3 with the audience.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people, they don't get to know us, when they're listening to the podcast. But Strange Exchange is kind of like
I don't even know you.
yeah, I don't.
So this
I don't know
is
you.
like a great opportunity for me to like learn.
Yeah.
But a lot of people say that they're like, oh yeah, like we want to know the people behind it, and that type of stuff.
Oh, they don't
So-
say that to you.
Oh,
Yeah.
They were talking about us.
oh,
Yeah.
awkward.
Yeah.
Well,
Anyways, I'm just kidding.
This is how we are, like behind
just
the camera.
generally,
And I'm glad we're finally doing this on the podcast.
yes. Basically, it's
A roast
they
session.
just yes, it's always
Rose sesh. On the real note, like this is fun. I think Amber was telling us before that like Sundays are her favorite days for multiple reasons. But one of them being the podcast. One of them being the podcast. And that's something I always look forward to too, because it's just like the whole week I'm like grinding out busy stuff, and then Sunday I know it's just like, all right, let's chill out, let's talk, let's unwind. So that's what we're gonna do on today's episode. We got a few things that we're going to talk to you guys about. And you know, if you're watching on YouTube or I guess on SoundCloud or wherever you can comment, leave us your thoughts, tweet at us, whatever. Today we're going to talk about like, you know, our thoughts on some recent, like, you know, things in the news, some trends, maybe some media stuff going on, and then some stories we have for you guys, and then just some thoughts on different ideas that we may have or like have heard. So I want to start with Will Smith vlogging. So have you guys seen his vlog channel at all?
Yeah, I have.
His YouTube channel?
No, I haven't seen it.
Dude, it's
so
awesome.
So like I think there's been kind of like this trend of like celebrities coming, like The Rock was big on this. He's like, I want to start a YouTube channel now. And he started collabing with Aisha. What's good?
What's up?
Hey, my roommate's here.
Yeah, we're recording.
That is Amber's roommate that just walked in. I have to give us
give
her a shout out.
Yeah.
So anyways, yeah, like The Rock did it. You said Steve-O, and like some other big celebrities started doing that. But you know, there's been different thoughts from people about, like, you know, either that it's cool that we finally get to see this new perspective of this celebrity, or that like, hey, like, this is our world, please, like, don't hog this and steal the attention from the creators.
I didn't even think it like that,
because they already have their own platforms. I mean, granted, it's not like, oh, this is ours, don't come here. But it's definitely like, I know that when Jimmy Kimmel, one of the Jimmys,
they started putting their show on YouTube form.
But they weren't. They kept on bringing celebrities on. They weren't giving much attention to YouTubers. And I just feel like if you're gonna cross over to the YouTube side, you need to include YouTubers.
Well, the main thing is that when they come over to this platform, they instantly hit hundreds and thousands of subscribers, like, without any question. And the other thing is that they don't go through the same process that a YouTuber goes through when it comes to, like, okay, I got to learn how to shoot video. I got to learn about, you know, editing, what equipment to buy, editing, how to promote myself. So
it's kind of done for them, or by somebody that they hire.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of them hire people and have a crew. But I don't know, Will Smith's feels a little bit different to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like, most people are complaining about, like, the fairness issue, but I think it's fair, you know? People have their chance and whatnot, and if the celebrity's good enough, people will stay. But, you know, a lot of the times that may not be the case.
Exactly. I think like that's the main thing, is like, if Will Smith is not good enough, people won't watch. They're not gonna watch just because it's Will Smith. Like, you have to still be interesting. You still have to be creative.
It's fair, and yes, they have like a slight advantage, but, you know,
I mean, and there's a lot of traditional media stars who have come over to YouTube who aren't even hitting it that big. Like, I mean, I know Shay Mitchell, she does make, like, you know, mildly good content, and regardless of it, she doesn't get that much attention. And there's just like a lot, even like Josh.
Josh Peck.
He's not getting as much traffic as I thought he would. Like,
but he's much more on the creator side than like the celebrity side, where like he actually does the stuff himself and like tries to, you know, promote and all that.
He definitely
kind of
tries to submerge himself into like the YouTube culture.
Definitely.
Which is awesome.
But I thought Will Smith's videos are like pretty entertaining so far, and it's cool to have like him holding the camera. It's not like, you know, somebody's filming it for him the entire time. He actually holds the camera, talks to the camera, and is like, this is what I'm doing now, this is what I'm doing now,
dude. And he's making the jokes, and they're kind of funny, like, and the way they're edited, it's like,
he has dad jokes.
It's edited professionally, but like, it's still him.
It's just cool to see like behind the scenes of like, hey, I'm going to this like movie promo now. But like, before, you wouldn't see Will Smith before the movie promo. You would only see him at the movie promo, answering the typical media questions that like everybody is already asking for him. But here he's giving you insight into things that you're not going to hear anybody else talk about, which is pretty cool.
And I like it because it shows the mindset of Will Smith. And like, I love his like family. Like, they're all like super hardworking, and this show even, you know, reassures that that they're like really hardworking. Speaking of videos though, Amazon, have you seen that video, the cashierless grocery store?
I actually haven't seen that video.
You haven't seen it?
No.
I saw it like maybe 2-3 years ago.
Yeah,
like whenever it came out initially, it was hype on Facebook.
It's called cashierless.
I mean, that's not what the video's called, but it was a concept of like, people going into the grocery store and they just like pick out like, corn or like this juice or something like that, and they just
and then they just walk out because they have like the app or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they charge you on Amazon.
I have heard of that. I don't think I've seen the actual video.
It was like a concept video for Amazon, and turns out this Monday they're dropping that first cashierless store in Seattle.
Dang!
And it's gonna be at a Whole Foods.
I don't know if it's a Whole Foods, but I think it's
because they bought
Amazon.
the Whole Foods chain.
So how does it work? Like you have the app, and then you scan stuff on your phone or something, or what?
You swipe your phone in when you walk in the store.
Okay.
You go and you pick out things and put them in your cart. There's cameras in there, kind of adding things to your balance, and then if you put it back, it'll take it off. And then when you walk out, you swipe out again, and it charges your account.
Yeah,
that's next level.
I don't think it's Whole Foods. I think it's a standalone Amazon store, just because it's going to be hard to like get cabbage or something like that. It's just
to weigh it and
cabbage
stuff.
come in like a Prime box or
faster.
Amazon that makes food now.
Hopefully
they've been having that like grocery stuff.
Yeah, grocery stuff.
You just pay like $5 for the
Have
box.
you guys heard about the top 20 list of Amazon's second headquarters?
Oh, is this where they're building the new one?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, you were recently telling me that they're building it in DC.
No, DMV. So like one is Northern Virginia, one is in DC, and one is in Montgomery County. These are like places that they've narrowed down from 230 locations
to have
down
a
to
headquarters
20,
there.
Second headquarters.
Okay.
And so it's supposed to bring like 50,000 jobs and all that stuff. But the DMV is like top 20, and then there's New York, Boston, somewhere in Austin, just like the big cities, LA and stuff like that.
So what's the positives and the negatives in this situation? Like obviously you're gonna have all those jobs, but then the DMV area is like kind of small, especially compared to the West Coast.
Definitely.
Where's the other headquarters?
Seattle.
Okay, Seattle. So I mean, Washington is gonna be bigger than this area that we're talking here.
Definitely.
But okay, so
I mean, like positives, it's like it brings more jobs. Your package may come a little faster, and you can. The tech world will be efficiency. The tech world will be much higher. Like there'll be a lot more tech jobs, just like different companies and different tech startups and stuff. I mean, DC's already number 3 in the world, but negatives would be like we'd get congested,
which we're already pretty congested in like the DC area.
Yeah, definitely. And but they might build more stuff, make roads
people
bigger.
Could always just turn to those jobs too. Like I'm sure there'll be people moving here for those jobs, but I mean I'm sure that like that would be like a promotion to some people to move on to something like that versus
I was
other
saying
jobs they're working.
If they have that bullet train made, which they're like trying to work on, that's supposed to go from what is it like Baltimore to New York in like 40 minutes or something, which like I think it goes by DC too. I think so.
I mean, it's still a concept though.
Yeah.
But you know what's crazy? Like these cities, they're like offering Amazon like, yo, you don't have to pay taxes for 10 years. Like they really want Amazon to come over.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, Amazon's like the next new, like not the next new thing. It is the biggest thing. Like
it is the biggest thing.
So I can see.
Which is great. And there's speculating like DC might be a top choice because the CEO Jeff Bezos, he like bought a $24 million mansion in the DC like neighborhood, and he's like neighbors with Obama and Ivanka Trump and stuff like that.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I would die to be neighbors with Ivanka.
For what reason?
Didn't you hear me? I would die.
Bang, bang, bang.
That was good.
Bang. And then he bought the Washington Post too.
Okay.
Which is like crazy. Like, why would you buy a newspaper company?
That's kind of I don't want to say a conflict of interest, but that's very interesting.
Oh, there's definitely that in there.
Yeah.
That is a conflict of interest.
It's like
no
a
doubt.
big business versus a big newspaper.
Yeah.
We're going to have a lot of nice articles about Amazon coming up.
Speaking of articles, you were telling me about a crazy one that you read recently, right?
Yeah. So I was on Twitter maybe last week, and there was a Twitter moment that then linked to an article. And the Twitter moment said, millennial watching Friends think the show is sexist, homophobic, and transphobic. And so the article that it linked to was by Independent, I believe. And So the different things that they're talking about is they're bringing up examples from the beginning of the show, I guess even some in the middle too, and things that relate to LGBT communities, where there was a certain situation where Chandler felt uncomfortable and he was paranoid about being perceived as a gay man. And
that's all the time. That's throughout the show, though. Do you guys watch Friends?
I've only watched the first 6 episodes.
Okay, so if you like hearing you say that, like, I totally understand that.
Okay.
Because the entire show, Chandler is like, they call Chandler gay the entire time.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
They're like, oh, he must be gay.
Wow.
And then his friends Ross and Joey, like, they're always kind of like iffy about it, and like, you know, they get made fun of for interaction in certain ways of like other guys that, you know, have roles in the show.
Is it like very negative?
I mean, it's supposed to be
like
funny,
a fun-spirited,
you know, but even before this
shows.
article came out, like, so my brother and sister, like, they haven't watched Friends before. I used to watch it here and there, but they started watching it from the beginning because it's all on Netflix. So they watched it from the beginning. So like now I'm always like, they always have it on, so I'm always like, you know, catching myself watch a few episodes here and there. But I had these thoughts before this article actually came out. I was like, oh, like
that's a little risky.
Yeah, like
wow.
Which, like, especially with, I guess, the you know, the environment, the political environment and everything, in today's age, it's like that would not fly these days at all. Everybody gets called out for the smallest things, and on the other hand, it's like, if millennials are watching it now, and I think they should maybe be a little bit understanding as well, that, you know, it's not these,
it wasn't the time.
It was the time. Obviously, like, you know, that's not appropriate, I guess, in today's age, but you know,
it was accepted back then somehow. Yeah, like it was flying. They meant it in, you know, the funny whatever way, and it's not the character's fault. It's like, you know, obviously there's a room of writers that go over this stuff, which if you have a sense of humor and like you try to understand where they're coming from, like, it's not a big deal. So, I don't think it's anything to flip over. Like, like, get Friends off of Netflix. If you go back and watch movies from you know, back then, it shows history. Like that's what I was trying to say. Like, it honestly just shows how much like we've changed in a society. And if anything, I think it's kind of a good thing that we can be like, oh no, we haven't changed society. No, look, this was acceptable like 20 years ago. This was casual.
You can see like, okay, this is why my parents might think in this way, right? And it doesn't have to be that, oh yeah, they were taught these racist values. It was like, hey, it was snuck into media here and there, and it was normalized. And it doesn't have to be anything crazy.
And then they said that there's some sexism, all that type of stuff, and they just have like different relating things. But I think it's interesting, like, overall, even with the sexism, I think it's interesting that in all those things that we feel so touchy about, it's those things, and we've grown a lot. I
don't think the sexism is that crazy. I think there's definitely little things where there's like some competition between the girls and the guys, but there's 3 girls, there's 3 guys, and I mean, it's pretty apparent that like Monica, who's one of the girls, is kind of like the alpha in the Friends group. I don't think any of the guys can take that role. Like, they're all kind of I guess you could say like weaker guys. True. You know? They're like, I mean, not even weaker, just like, you know,
less harsh personalities, not stronger.
Yeah, like Monica's like very much the leader. Okay. What she says goes, and so I mean, I guess I could see some things here and there, but for the most part, it's like, I think it's pretty cool.
Like how Rachel hired a nanny for her daughter Emma, but Emma's father Ross can't handle the fact that nanny is a man, and then just like, I think there's just like a bunch of like hidden.
Ross's ex-wife is a lesbian.
That's true.
And he always like gets made fun of for that, and but there's lesbians in the show, so there's
it's just
both things.
It's the perspective they had towards those things at the time. Like they were happening, but it was still okay to make fun
of. He gets made fun of because it's like anything he says, Joey or Chandler will be like, well, you married a lesbian or something like that. So it's like attacking him in the way that it's like, hey, you were not man enough for her or something, which you can sort of get in like a subtle hint, but I think for the most part it's trying to just clown him for that. And I think even and I think even today, if you were to break up with somebody, I think that would still be there, like, hey, this friend's ex is now gay or lesbian.
Like, your friends are always going to roast you, and I guess they were portraying themselves as a set of friends.
But it also highlights, like, that these people exist. Like, you know, there's lesbians in the world and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not a very diverse show.
Yeah.
I'll give it that. Like, they're all
white,
and pretty much everybody in the show is white. There's not too much diversity there. But again, like, if you look at the times, there's also Full House, which is an all white, very, very white family.
Right. Yeah.
The whitest family
and
in
nowadays
America.
there's you know, a lot of black shows. There's a lot of diverse shows.
And even Fuller House, when it came back, like, now there's a lot of diversity in Fuller House.
That's
so
awesome.
these shows recognize, they're not like, oh yeah, like, we are stuck with those beliefs.
Yeah.
Everybody changes over time. And even musicians that were making music back then that had homophobic lyrics and everything like that. I mean, Eminem is a prime example that, you know, he was very, very sexist and homophobic in his lyrics. And now he's like, you know what, like, that's what I was going through. That's what I was raised with. And I have nothing against these people. When I say these things, I'm just trying to, you know, make fun of the people that are attacking others. So he uses it. I mean, that's what his whole persona is made of, is like using other people's weaknesses to attack them. So when he calls Donald Trump a word that might attack another, you know, group of people, he's just trying to attack Donald Trump.
Is that where you learned your tactics from?
Yes.
Making fun of people through their weaknesses.
Yeah, Eminem's dope at that. No, he makes fun of himself first so that nobody can make fun of him, and that's why he always wins. Story time, guys.
Story time.
Okay.
Okay.
Tana
So we actually, I don't think you've heard this story, Amber, but
No.
we had this crazy incident in
Together, you two?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, in Chicago while we were there. I'm gonna let SHAH-AMEER say, because his perspective is probably the funniest. He was in the middle of all of it.
So we went to this comedy club. We came out and we need to get an Uber. It's like really cold outside, so we got an Uber and
we were trying to go to watch the fireworks for New Year's.
For New Year's. And so this Uber, I forgot who called it, but on their phone it was like, 5 stars. Like, he had great reviews and all that. So then the Uber driver comes, we get in, and he has like this giant cage of like candy and like water bottles, and he has 2 TVs on the back of his seats, and like everything's heated, and he's like, hey guys, how's it going?
It's a
like,
party.
It was a
total
party
bus.
And we were just like, yo, this is awesome, like this is the greatest. And he even had like a sign saying like, please leave 5 stars if you enjoyed your experience. Like, he was very into the Uber, obviously. So then we were driving, and it was like, you know, awesome. We were like so excited, and there was a movie playing. So then 5 minutes later, you know, we're looking at his phone, and he's not going the path that he's supposed to, and the time keeps increasing. And so like Frost's like, yo, like, what's going on here? And like they start sketching out, like our friend Saad and Frost. And so I'm just like, oh yeah, it's nothing, you know, he's probably, you know, there's a bunch of people driving around because it's New Year's. And so then, you know, Saad's like, why aren't you going to the path? Like, he asked the guy, he's like, why aren't you going on the path that the GPS tells you? He's like, what did he say?
Well, you know how when things are too good to be true, and then suddenly there's like in a horror movie, it's like, that's where things like turn around and you're like, hold up, where am I right now? That's what happened. So he turns around and he's like, to Saad, he goes, I mean, I could go the path that you want me to. Do you want me to do that? Because there's a lot of traffic there. You see all that red area? I could do that if you want me to. Is that what I should do? And we were like, whoa.
And then like,
hold up.
They were just like, yo, should we get out? Should we get out? And I'm like humming through the whole time. I'm like,
humming?
It was just such a bad vibe. Okay. Like, literally, I had to.
He's like, let me make the vibe better to hum.
Yeah. SHAH-AMEER's trying to pretend like everything's okay. Saad is like looking at the GPS the whole time, and I'm looking at Saad. I'm like, yo, something's wrong. I'm whispering stuff in SHAH-AMEER's ear. I was like, yo, I'm about to say something. Like, and SHAH-AMEER's trying to block. I think he's trying to block our voices out so that the guy doesn't hear.
Yeah.
Because I'm being like pretty open about it. I'm like, yo, like, this is not okay. Because he keeps going. So after that, he keeps going. The ride was maybe like 20 minutes or something.
Yeah. And there's like cars on the way, and he was like yelling at them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He's like, get out of the way. Like, people don't know how to drive.
He's like cussing at the cars and stuff. And we're like, whoa, hold up. He's like swerving around. And he's like, yeah, I used to be a truck driver. So like, these guys, they're all tourists and they don't know what they're doing. He starts swerving around. And then we look at the time, like it goes from, it was at 7 minutes or something. It goes back up to 16 minutes. Oh, we're like, hold up.
And he was like assuming a lot of things. Like when we walked in, he was like, make sure you don't have open alcohol bottles in your backpack. And then I was like, okay, like, I mean, not that I had any. And so then later he's like, yeah.
Well, you were reaching in for like your vlog camera or something.
Yeah, I was reaching in for my vlog camera. And
he's like, hey, no open bottles.
No open bottles. Like 10 minutes later, and I'm like, dude, like, why are you assuming I have bottles? We literally just walked in, like, I don't know, that just.
And he was saying like, oh yeah, you guys are probably gonna get like really wasted tonight and stuff.
Yeah,
we're like, no, like,
especially with those bottles in the backpack. And I'm like, why are you referring to my backpack constantly? Like,
and then I was just like, no, we're not here to drink. Like,
yeah, like
I just told him, and he's like, oh, that's great, that's great. And then so the time keeps going up, and I was like, all right, it keeps going up, like we're gonna get out from here. And then he's like, no, you don't want to walk from here. Like I'll drop you off. And there was so much, like, where he was taking us, that, like, okay, so the maps take account for the traffic.
Right.
It says, it shows you the red lines, and it's like, okay, 13 minutes left, and then it goes back up to 17, and then it keeps going up, and it's still staying around the same thing. We're like, all right, he's trying to make money off us, or he's trying to kidnap us. Something weird's happening here. We're just like, all right, we're gonna get out here, and he's just like, no, like, let me drop you off. We're like, no, we're gonna get off here. And then he's like, yeah, don't get out from that side. And we just saw that opens the door and gets out from the wrong side. And we were just like, all right, let's book it. And then we were all like, Emma, who is our friend who like called in the Uber,
and he was in the front seat. He didn't like realize anything was happening.
Yeah, he was talking to him all nicely the whole time. We're like, Emma, that was not cool. Give him his zero star. He's like, why? What was wrong? He was a nice guy. We're like, no, he was not.
Yeah.
Do you not understand?
No,
and
like, I was saying no. I was like, please don't rate him 1 star. He might come and kill us. Like, that's how bad it was and how scared we were. And I had 2 candies from his like cage thing. I'm like, dude, what if they're poisonous? Like,
the lesson being, if an Uber seems too good to be true, get out immediately.
Get out immediately.
So he probably had those things in there to like distract you guys long enough to not even notice that he was taking you a longer way, so he could make more money.
This is why he had this stuff in there,
right?
Yeah.
Because he has anger issues, and he tries to make money off of people. So it's like you're saying, it's to distract people. Oh, they're eating the candy, they're drinking water, they're drunk.
They're
not gonna question.
Oh, we're not gonna question. We'll have a good time here. And meanwhile, he's making all this money. And people that probably did notice probably were like, yo, what are you doing? And then he put that stuff in there as like, all right, I need to get my ratings back up. Like, dude, how much money could you possibly be making off of Uber that you need to do this stuff?
I mean, he probably made double the money off you guys by doing that.
Especially because it was New Year's too.
Yeah, and there's a price surge too.
No tip, boy. He messed up. Another
should have exposed him on the vlog.
Yeah, but
I only had the scenes I had the scenes in the beginning that we were hyped about it, and then I didn't have anything after. I was like,
took a quick turn. He was too scared to move. But yeah, another couple of people that were not so friendly or open-minded. There was this event that we had for my parents, my siblings, and I, and there was like this couple sitting by themselves at a table. And so we were trying to be nice and talk to all the guests and everything like that. But I noticed that they were by themselves. So my sister was like, you know what, why don't you go over and sit with them because they're by themselves. All right, that's cool. So I go over and I'm talking to this auntie and uncle. I'm like, hey, how are you? Like, you know, I know you're friends with my parents. I've never really met you guys. So we're talking. And then the uncle like asked me, he's like, what do you do? And well, he had just asked about my education, so I was just telling him like I was a journalism student. I graduated with this and this, and randomly like he cuts me off and he's like, "Beta, let me tell you one thing. If I can give you one piece of advice," I was like, "Yeah, sure, go ahead." He's like, "Don't ever call yourself a Pakistani American." I was like, "What? What does this have to do with anything?" And you know, I was just like, I kind of went along with it. I was like, "Okay, what do you mean by that?" And he was like, well, there's no reason to, you know, that's it just puts you into this category of people that you don't want to be in. And then I was just like, hold on, I actually call myself that all the time. His wife, then she hadn't said anything yet, right? And she just comes at me. She was like, what? Are you kidding me? That's not a thing. Are you kidding me? You actually call yourself that? What? I was like, yeah, that's what I am. She's like, wait, I have to hear this clearly. What do you refer to yourself as? I'm like, Pakistani American. She's like, oh my God, I cannot believe that. That's not a thing. You're not Pakistani American. I was like, then what am I? She's like, are you Pakistani or are you American? I was like, I don't feel that I belong to one or the other. I'm very much a product of both. And she's like, no, you have to pick Pakistani or American. What are you a citizen of? where were you born? All this. I was like, that's not how I'm classifying myself. I'm like, she's like, you know what? If I went to Pakistan, they would make fun of me, the way that I eat, the way that I speak. I'm not Pakistani. I'm American. I was like, that's fine, but don't you get made fun of here for being too Pakistani? Because I was like, that's my case. I'm like, I'm too American for Pakistan. I'm too Pakistani for America. There's definitely this youth culture that is this group of kids that grew up here that don't identify with one or the other enough, so they have their own culture. It's Pakistani American. Like, that's a completely normal thing. I don't get why
there's African American.
Exactly. So that's what I said. I was like, then what's an Indian American? What's an African American? She was trying to make this point that she's just like, if you go up to a group of people and they ask what you are, they're testing you, and they need you to see. They want to see how loyal you are to this country. I'm like, I don't think that's the case at all. People ask me all the time this question. I was like, how do you answer that question? And she was like, if they ask me where I'm from, I say I'm American. And I'm like, okay, so you're like one of those annoying people. Like, I didn't say that to her, but I was like, okay, so then what if she's like, then they ask me where I'm really from. I say I'm from Minnesota. And then I was like, okay, what about after that? Like, she's like, if they ask like what my origins are, then I'll say, yeah, I'm American with Pakistani origin. I was like, that's the same thing as Pakistani American. And then she's like, okay, try to understand it this way. If a friend walked in, if your Chinese friend walked in and he's Muslim, how would you introduce him? I was like, by his name. She's like, no, you wouldn't. She's like, you would say that this is my Chinese Muslim friend. I was like, I would never in my life do that. I've never introduced any of my friends that way. I don't know what you're talking about. She's like, yes, you would. Yes, you would. I was like, you're arguing with me for no reason. Like, we were like going back and forth. My brother's just sitting there eating his food, like laughing. He's like, what is she doing? And here she is, like wanting to conform to a society pretty much, because she's like, yeah, I have to do it for other people. That was her whole point. And her husband was like, kind of like nervous. He was like, oh, yeah, she's really like ODing. He was like, but I think what she's trying to say is that these are tough times, and I think they just want to see your loyalty. I was like, yeah, but I'm not gonna hide who I am. Like, I can't hide my skin color. They're gonna know that I'm not, what everybody else looks like, and I'm very proud to let them know and educate them if they ask me. Like, I've never had any trouble once somebody asks me where I'm from or anything like that. Like, I can rephrase the question. It's just an educational opportunity. She's like, oh, so you think that people are uneducated when they ask you something like that? I was like, no.
You should have left at this point.
I was like, no, because this is like, I need
to educate her.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Because she doesn't understand where I'm coming from. I was like, no, I don't think that they're uneducated. I just think that they're uneducated on this topic, and you can be very well, like, uneducated on a certain topic. She's like, oh, I can't believe you're judging people's merit off of a question. I was like, lady, that's not what I'm doing. You can be a doctor, you can be an engineer.
People identify themselves.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, you can be a doctor and not know something about, a field,
business.
A business, right? As a doctor, you're uneducated about the business field. You can very well be that. It has nothing to do with merit. And I'm not trying to put myself on a higher class than anybody. Like, that has nothing to do with it. But I mean, her whole point came down to that topic, and I was just like, you know what, like, if you want to identify yourself as that, that's cool. Like, but I'm a Pakistani American. That's what I call myself, and I'm very proud of it. And she was just like, whatever. Like, she was just kind of like rolling her eyes over and over. And then I was just like trying to change the topic, because I was here for my parents. Like, this is my parents' event. These are our guests. So I'm like, all right, let me get it over with. I was just like, yeah, I understand where you're coming from. And I just kept saying that over and over until she stopped. And then I was just like, how's your food? And she's like, it's a little bit spicy. And then I was like, yeah, that's just kind of like a little culture that we throw in. And then she just got like, she was like, but I mean, the lesson that I learned from this is just like, some people are just bitter, because the whole time she was judging everybody else at the party. That's why I thought that they were sitting by themselves because they were,
lonely.
Maybe they didn't know anyone.
But in reality, she was like, look at everybody here. Like, she said that she was like, everybody here is speaking Urdu instead of English. Look at how they're dressed. I'm like,
what was she wearing, by the way?
Like normal, like
American clothes or Pakistani?
American clothes.
Okay, and then how was like her accent and stuff? Like, did she seem like she was raised here? Like,
yeah, I mean, she had like kind of an accent, but mostly she was speaking English, and she thought that like, okay, everybody at this event should be speaking English as well. I'm like, no. That's how they feel, whatever they feel comfortable talking to, and everybody here speaks the same language. I think it's okay for them to speak in whatever they want to. If you want to speak English to them, you can, and she was. And so I was just like, you know what, these people, like, she's just bitter.
Yeah,
literally.
And I'm like, I was like, all right, I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna start dancing because I love my culture. And they left like when we started dancing and everything. It's like,
wow.
what? Like, that's how you want to like separate yourself. Like, I think that those are the people that are actually bad for our culture,
right?
That hide from who they are and pretend like, you know, she was like, why would I identify with a country that treats women this way and the blah blah blah. And I was like, that doesn't have to do, you're talking in political, you know, you're doing political talk.
issues versus like culture.
Yeah. And on the opposite end, like, you're proud of everything that happens in America, in our government and everything, because do you represent everything that Trump talks about? Are you completely supportive of that? Like, these borders that people create are political.
Right.
Like, in reality, the world is not made of borders. These are maps that humans drew. If she thinks that America, it has its own culture and we don't eat Italian pizza and pasta and listen to African American rap music and all this stuff, like, she's an idiot. So I need to know what other people think of this. Maybe like I need another perspective because I was not understanding where she's coming from. When, like, maybe the fact that she was, you know, she's had bad experiences, but that's all I can really say.
I mean, she did come from Minnesota, so like, I don't feel like there's a huge Pakistani, you know, community there.
Which is fine, but
yeah, that's probably like
maybe she got made fun of and stuff like that.
Right.
Maybe that's her experiences.
See, I think that there's a difference though. Like, for me, I was made fun of, but that doesn't mean that I can pull away from my culture and just say I don't identify with it anymore. But at the same time, if that was her experience and that's how she copes with it, that's cool. But then to assume or expect everyone else to do the same as she does, and for them to do otherwise is wrong, that's when it's like,
that's judgmental.
Yeah,
that's when it's wrong. Like, if she has her own personal ways, she chooses to wear American clothes, cool. She chooses to speak in English, that's cool. But for everyone else to wear what they feel comfortable in and what they feel beautiful in, and to speak in the way that they feel comfortable in, that's something that's up to those people. And I feel like once you overstep that boundary, you're being rude.
Yeah, she was at a Desi party. Like, nobody asked her, why are you wearing American clothes, or why are you not
speaking English?
Why are you speaking English? Like, that, nobody cares. You can do what you want, but for her to be judging other people is like totally wrong.
And also, I love identifying as a Pakistani American. Like, what other, like, I think that identities are personal.
Yeah.
And whatever you choose to identify, if you would like to come up to someone and be like, oh, they'd be like, oh, what are you? And you wanted to identify yourself as like an American Muslim because like it seems appropriate, like, I'll identify myself with that in religious situations or things like that. But it's all about how you feel and whatever you want to identify with. So if she wants to identify that way, that's cool. But
I think it's dumb to give people a hard time for them being curious.
Yeah.
Like, even when this applies to anybody. If you're, you know, if you're gay, if you're African American, whatever you may be, and somebody asks you like, oh, like, are you this or something, and just like retaliating and getting offended and like, if people are genuinely curious or they just don't know any better, that's your opportunity to like allow them to see, you know, like, this is how you should ask a question, or like, this is the proper way to identify somebody, or this is how I want to be identified, instead of being like, like, don't ask questions like this. Then it shuts people out. Then they think whatever they want to think.
Right.
Like, I always say, I would rather have you ask me whatever you want rather than you assume.
Yeah.
You know?
So I actually had a thought for you guys. When investing in your craft, do you guys like go big, or do you like start small and then build up to go big, even though you've been doing it for a while?
Wait, ask it again. If you're
investing in your craft,
okay,
do you go big, or do you like build up and start small?
So say you want to be a musician, right?
But let's say you like already have been dabbling with like music stuff, right? Like,
Okay.
obviously when you start off like as a musician, you should start slow, right? Because you don't know if you're gonna do this forever.
Is this like creative based?
Creative based, yeah.
Okay.
So like if you want to be a painter or stuff like that, but you've been painting for 10 years or 5 years or years,
got it.
and you know that you're gonna do this professionally in the future, do you go big if you have the funds, or do you like start small and then keep going eventually?
And by go big, you mean like buy a bunch
Purchasing.
of equipment and stuff
like that.
Okay, I think that like growing up, I've always had like things that I've been interested in, and I'll splurge on those things. But as my interests have gotten more financially heavy and things like that, I picked and choose. Like, I didn't have a proper computer for a while, so like my first big investment was buying my desktop. So I think something like that, but that's also like multi-purpose. But I kind of put it in a level of what I think is most important. Like right now, I really need a camera, but I don't have the money to buy a camera. But I have a phone that records great. So, and I have a computer that I can edit it on. So right now I have the two things I need. But when I need to improve, then I need to get a ring light and I need to buy a camera. And I feel like there's kind of, I'm going to splurge as the money comes along. But I think that those are like the things that I like save up for. Those are the next type things.
Second question. So like, let's say you're planning to buy the camera, right? Do you like buy the cheapest camera that's like good quality still, or do you like, you know, go higher than that? Or
okay, so I'd probably do what I did with my computer. So I want the best quality of something, but I don't care if it's new, because I personally feel like technology is something that, like, who cares if someone's used a camera before? Like, I got my desktop from Mac, like from Apple, but I got it refurbished, so it was $1,000 cheaper just for getting it refurbished, for buying it refurbished. Now, the camera that I want to get, I know a brand new one is like 700 something, but a used one or a refurbished one is like 400 to 600. I don't mind if someone snapped a couple of pictures on it before. So I do like the best quality of that item, whatever will get me what I want. But at the same time, I'm not worried about buying the brand new of that or whatever, because like Casey Neistat says, all these things are tools and you're going to keep using them and you're going to need to keep replacing them. So as it goes on, you just need to do what you got to do.
I think if you're saying like you've been interested in this whatever craft for 5-10 years, then I say go big. Like, I don't believe in taking these baby steps, and I don't believe in listening to what everybody else says the process should be. I think that and it depends on how you learn. My sister and I were just having this conversation on how we're totally different learners. She's somebody that needs to be coached. She needs somebody else to do it in front of her and see it. For me, I learn nothing that way. I can't see somebody. I'm never going to understand how to do something by watching somebody. I need to just have it all in my hands and figure it out. So I think that I need to buy the whatever the program is that I need, or buy the canvas, or, you know, ride the fastest horse, whatever, you know, whatever I'm learning to do, rather than be like, I'll use this one first and then I'll go to the next one, because I think there's a lot of time and money wasted in that process.
Also, like, I feel like you spend more money.
That's what I mean. You spend a lot of money and it's wasting a lot of time, rather than being like, you know what, let me go for the biggest thing and I'll figure it out from here. What I don't believe in, though, is the add-ons. So like, oh, this tool will help you do this, and like this will assist you along the process. I believe like you should go raw into whatever that is, like, and just learn it, YouTube it, whatever. Just learn to do the thing. Right. And I think you'll figure it out, rather than all this extra stuff on the side.
I mean, so like I had this question, like, I was asking like normal people and stuff like that, people that weren't as creative, but I was also asking creative people, like, do you go, you know, small? And like a lot of the less creative, I don't want to say less creative, but like average people, they were like, yeah, just go small. Like, you know, you never know if you're going to use it. Like, back then I was like,
I think maybe left brain versus right brain is
like
what you're talking about.
I was thinking about getting a GoPro like 3 years ago or something like that. And I was telling my friends like, yo, I'm interested in getting a GoPro. And they're like, why would you do that? Just use your phone, get a waterproof case and stuff like that. And I'm just like, yeah, I could do that, but there's so many, you know, better things and good things about a GoPro. Like, you know, battery life will be shortened with your phone and you need that for the rest of the day and stuff like that. And it's just like, and then when I was thinking about getting my camera, I was like, should I get, you know, the good, you know, Canon Rebel T6i, which is like a good starter one. I could use that for years. People are like, oh, just use your phone and stuff like that. And I'm like, bro, I've been using that for like years and stuff like that. So, but I do believe in the go big if you have the funds. Like, but there have been cases where I have bought things and like, but it was like something that I'm interested in, and then like I would never use it. So like, if you're interested in it, definitely go big. But if you're not as interested, don't go big. Just start small.
Yeah.
Right.
I think when it comes to something like music, for example, I think the best case I can think of is like when you want to be a beat maker or producer, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that will go with what the process is supposed to be and YouTube it. And if you listen to if you go through school, for example, right? They're going to tell you, okay, let's start off with learning how to read music. And then let's learn how these different instruments work.
Yeah.
And then let's learn about frequencies. All of that is great. And I think it's important for you to know.
Yeah.
But if you are somebody that knows how to keep a beat, you know, your tempo is good, I think that you can make a beat your first day.
Yeah.
And along with that, as you're making beats, you'll be like, this sounds kind of weird. I wonder what that could be. And then you'll be like, oh, this is something called frequency. And then you'll adjust the frequency and you'll learn that way rather than like sit. And you could learn through an entire course, right? Yeah. But it's like if you do it yourself and you know you have that skill, I don't think you need to like always ask other people and go through all these different things to be like, if you want to do something and you know you want to do it, like you're saying you have an interest in it, you'll do it and you'll figure out how to do it. Definitely. You don't need all that extra help. There's been tons of people before us that did things all on their own. Now we have like all the tools we need to learn and do everything that we want for ourselves with minimal amount of money.
Yeah. And what's crazy, like with that in mind, like I was at Guitar Center the other day and I was chilling with like a producer. He like makes pretty good beats and stuff like that, but I was like playing with the drums and the guitar and he was like, man, I wish I could, you know, play an instrument. And I'm like, dude, you make great beats. Like you don't have to, like, these are skills that like, you know, you would use at a campfire or something like that, unless you were in a band, but you know how to make music with just a different instrument. He was just saying like, I wish I knew how to play an instrument. I'm like, you do though. Yeah. Which is like really funny.
That's like Casey Neistat of, I think he recently released a video about like filmmaking and how his filmmaking is so much different than traditional filmmaking. Yeah. Like he's still making movies every day. Yeah. And not making Hollywood movies, right? But his films still serve that emotion, that connection, that message, that story. So, you know, the only difference is he's not using all the fancy equipment and everything. And you know, there's a different purpose that serves too. Yeah. But at the end of the day, he's still a filmmaker. He still has accomplished his goal of doing that, right?
And I think that like by him doing that kind of proves that like you don't need all the fancy things. While they do serve its purpose in the appropriate field, like that doesn't mean you can't make a full-on movie without
I think in filmmaking it's awesome because like it's all mostly about story. Like you've seen so many bad quality, but they'd get a lot of views or people would love it. And it's based on story and stuff.
As we sort of wrap up soon, I also have one last little thought for you guys to reflect on. Okay.
Oh gosh.
It's something. Well, no.
Okay.
It's well, I want to show you what is in my brain. No. Oh my God. It's this quote that I heard from somebody. It's just like a normal person, but from a waitress, and it was actually like this. I guess this guy that like owns a lot of stores around the area, taking so many calls and being really busy with things, right? And he was actually like managing that store as well, and he got dropped down, like he got demoted to another level. He was going through all this stress, like on phone calls, all this stuff, right? And then she comes by, she's just a waitress, and she just comes by and she just like sort of laughs and goes, not like a rude laugh, but just kind of like a huh, and she goes, "It's nice to be a little person." Damn. And that just like stuck with me. I was like, that's really powerful. What's your guys' initial... I didn't talk to her after that, but that's all I heard, and then she just kind of like walked away. But what's your kind of initial reaction to that?
I'm glad you appreciate being a little person. Like, honestly, I mean, not that I'm saying I want to be a big person, but like I do want to strive to like, I want to get all that stress. Like I enjoy that, and that's a level that like I want to get to. But the fact that there's a bunch of people that want to be... I'm guessing like want to stay at that level and be a little person. I think that's like totally awesome that like you're okay with that.
I think little person, by that it's more like a simple life. Yeah. And I can understand a simple life. I can understand someone wanting a simple life and wanting to like make their money, go home, have their families, do what they feel are their duties. And I think that whatever anyone chooses to do like in their life, that's like a good thing. And it makes me feel even more happy that they're comfortable living a simple life, because everybody has their own dreams. Some people want a more complicated life, like for example me, like I have to do things every day, all day, and I know I have friends who cannot handle that, and that's perfectly okay, because they're going to excel at whatever their job is and whatever they have in their families and things like that, and those are things that are important to them. So I just think it's however you prioritize what you think is most important, and whether or not like what stresses you choose to take on, and how you end up living your life.
Yeah. For me, it was like a really cool moment. Like just like a realization of, you know, how reality works.
Yeah.
And how there is a difference in status, of emotion, not just of like, you know, position, but of emotion. Like this is how she feels at this stage, where there's people very much in her stage that are like, God, I want to make it to the top. I want to get out of here. And she's just like, like, yeah, you're right. It's a simplicity thing. And I think like when you're conscious of both things, it's a very healthy progress to where you want to get to. Like Shamir, you're saying that you want to be at that level, like where you're in a higher position, but you're okay with that stress.
Yeah.
And that's consciousness, because it's like, we hear it all the time. We hear it from people that are little people in quotes, and then the big people. People like, you know, J. Cole will say there's beauty in the struggle, ugliness in the success. Biggie, more money, more problems.
Yeah.
We hear it from them, you know, all the time. But I think we just kind of like pass over it. We don't pay enough attention to it. Yeah.
That comes with it.
But they're saying there's a lot of truth in what they say. And that's that, you know, when you get to the top where they're at, it's not just fun and games. There's a lot of extra stresses, extra burdens, a lot of people that rely on you, a lot of people that look for you for things. When you're at that bottom stage, nobody cares. Nobody's going to ask you for money. Nobody's going to, you know, rely on you for anything. Nobody looks at you.
Use you.
Yeah. Nobody looks at you to make a statement on everything that you ever believe, you know? And I think that that's like so cool is that, but if you realize that, you know, being at this bottom stage, you're not going to have that, but also you don't have power or control. But if that's not something you seek, then you're okay with that.
Right.
And then if you're at that top level, all this extra stress and everything, if you can handle it, if you're ready for that, if you're ready to be an influence, then yeah, that's good for you, because there's different levels of like being rich. Like I think something that always sticks with me is like something that my dad told me when we were really, really little. And he was like, we were in like a small house when we first moved to America, and he was living by himself there. So we were only living there for a few months, just the whole family, but it was like we were in one room. And he was just like, he just told the three of us, like my siblings and I, he's like, you guys are rich. And we were like, what do you mean? Like we're not rich. Like, cause we would watch movies and stuff and we'd be like, that's like having all those cars and money and everything. He's like, that's rich. He's like, no, you guys are really, really rich. He's like, you're happy. That's why you're rich. And then we went and told our friends that were like our neighbors and stuff. We're like, we're rich. And they came over and they were like, they asked my dad, they were like, oh yeah, they were telling us that you guys are rich. And my dad's like, yeah, we're filthy rich. And that has stuck with me my whole life, because it's like, yeah, that being rich is not about a money thing at all. Like there's this girl who's a waitress, and she's like, it's nice to be a little person. And she's like rich in feeling and in her heart and everything. And you know, you can be somebody so you know, that I guess lacks a status, a social status of any kind, and do like good things for humans and stuff, and you are very, very rich. And then you could be somebody who is the leader of the free world and think so small about everybody that you are just like so poor,
right?
You know? And I just thought, like, I just loved that moment. It was just like, that stuck with me over the weekend. But yeah,
it's dope.
Wow.
And on that note, I think our strange exchange comes to another senti end.
Oh.
We always end them in a nice senti, but hopefully a thought-provoking way.
Right.
And that's what we try to accomplish through this show, is like just open conversation and thoughts and reflection on things. And we hope that you guys can sort of think along
Join in on the conversation.
Join in on the conversation and take it further. Let us know what you think. Please send us more things to think about and reflect on, and our takes. We love that. Through our Twitter, Instagram, email, obviously.
If you're listening in your car and you're like, wow, I feel this way about this, come and tell us. Tell us how you feeling. Tell us what you're thinking.
Yeah, come to Amber's apartment. Her address is 70. But thank you guys for listening to another episode of Strange Flavors. It's been another strange exchange. And it's been another week, another flavor, a little less stranger. We'll talk to you next time.
Peace. Going crazy, my vision is hazy. Thoughts that will erase me, hating on me, that I say it won't faze me. Positive attitude is a front to trick my mind, make me blind to apathy and hate. Ignorance is